In Money Watch, U.S. stock markets took a tumble yesterday, with the Dow seeing its worst day since October of last year. Meanwhile, President Biden spoke at the White House, addressing concerns about the U.S. economy. Let's go to Weijia Jiang, who is following this story for us. Weijia, I looked at my Robinhood account, and my stocks took quite a hit. Which market sectors were hit the hardest when it came to the tumble yesterday?
So this feels a little bit like those first stages, those first few months of the pandemic, and we really saw that the cruise industry and the travel industry overall, especially airlines, take a hit as people start to rethink whether they want to travel or pack onto a boat with, hundreds, thousands of other people. And so, we could see that continue depending on how the Delta variant makes its way across the country and whatever new guidance we may or may not have. So, this is in reaction to, what we are seeing with regard to the pandemic. And, it's not only here in the U.S. We also saw stocks tumble for the Asia markets, too. And, of course, everything is intertwined and related. And so I think investors are just a little rattled right now.
Yeah, and certainly, while the stocks tumbled, we have been talking about the rising prices for just some of the day-to-day goods. What are some of the steps that the Federal Reserve could take to combat rising prices?
So its most powerful tool is controlling interest rates, the rates that the banks have to pay overnight for all the money issued. And of course, that trickles down to consumers, to businesses, to other interest rates. But as I mentioned, for now, officials say they don't think they're at that point yet, and so they're not ready to raise interest rates anytime soon, which would be, pretty difficult for many people, especially when it comes to buying bigger ticket purchases. So they are going to continue to monitor the situation. And President Biden says they're going to be vigilant, too, and make sure that they have the proper responses to the inflation that we have seen.
So in the meantime, there's this infrastructure deal that's sort of hanging out there. There's debate over government spending, of course. The deal is going to be facing a key challenge this week. Where does that stand?
So you'll remember that several Republicans signed on to this bipartisan infrastructure plan. The problem is that Senator Schumer, wants to hold a vote to move forward tomorrow. And Republicans have said they're not ready to do that because the text is not done. They want to see the writing. They want to see the language before they vote on anything, even if it is just a procedure to move forward. And so we do expect them to vote against moving forward, even though, again, a lot of those lawmakers, at least 10, signed on to that deal. And so we have to see what the discussion is. But you're right, Anne-Marie. As we've been talking about for several months now, the main problem is how to pay for the $1 trillion plan. Separately, Democrats are trying to move forward with a reconciliation plan to get a lot of the measures that didn't get into that bipartisan deal through what's called reconciliation, which would not require a single Republican vote. But that's another story because every single Democrat has to be on board with that, and it's unclear whether they're there yet.
All right, moving away from the economy, before I let you go, President Biden met with the King of Jordan, a major ally in the Middle East for the U.S. What came out of their meeting?
President Biden said that the king was a good and a decent and a loyal friend, just reaffirming the importance of the U.S.-Jordan relationship. They talked about their defense partnerships. They talked about the humanitarian crisis in Syria, the fact that the U.S. is sending 500,000 vaccines to Jordan, and certainly about the conflict in the Middle East, because tensions are high there, and there is a new Israeli government, and Jordan is seen as a potential mediator of sorts, someone who can try to establish stability there. And the president made very clear to the king that he continues to believe in and support a two-state solution. But of course, that's something we've been talking about for so long. And the question is how they're going to get there. So this really was another affirmation of their relationship, the first of several key visits we expect from leaders in the Middle East in the coming weeks. Anne-Marie.
All right, Weijia Jiang, thank you so much.
Sure, thanks.